Hi, this is Landon Greenhouse, Holden Ziles, and Grayson Beeman, and we'll be showing you how we can increase profits for the Contoso stores in the Wisconsin region. The Wisconsin region as a whole actually has a higher than average amount of stores, yet a lower than average amount of sales. It has 8 stores, but only $24 million in sales per store, which is lower than average compared to the other regions. After doing our research, we realized that the location of the store carries a huge role in the success and ultimately the profitability each store has. With the goal in mind for the business to be flipping as much profit as possible, it is important to maximize ways we can do that and come up with the best strategies possible. If you look at the table on the left, you will see the different regions' gross sales from highest to lowest, and if you look at the table to the right, you will see a comparison of different regions' gross margins from lowest to highest. For both gross sales and gross margin, you'll see the Wisconsin region is on the lower half. This isn't a good thing considering we have more stores than other regions with more sales than us.
Uh, our main purpose is to identify profitability in the Wisconsin region. We will achieve this by first identifying the root causes and potential problems that may contribute to the decrease in sales. Looking at specific stores within the Wisconsin region will help us determine the root causes. Then we will solve solutions through data and finally implement effective changes that will in the end result end in constant growth within the region.
The problem. Basically, the problem is that we have stores that are really not doing enough profit for us, and they're just very underperforming. With underperforming stores, it only causes more harm because we are wasting our resources, we are wasting our time, and we are just keep putting in money to these stores that don't do any benefit to us. After analyzing the data, we were able to pinpoint the store that was just really underperforming for us, and that happens to be the Racine number 2 store. It did pretty much less than half of what the other store did in sales per square foot, which is really not doing anything beneficial to our company as we are trying to make money and make more profit to be able to keep us through these tough times and everything. And so, if we can move to a more desirable location, that will allow us to enter a new market and hopefully get those sales back up into the 50,000 range and introduce us to a whole new market and everything and benefit the company as a whole.
This chart is showing sales per square foot by store name. If you look, you'll see Racing Store number 1 in green and Racing Store number 2 in red. Racing Store number 1 is tied for the highest in the whole region of sales with 51,000, and Racing Store number 2 is 22,000 below the next lowest one at 17,000.
Solution. So the solution that we have come up with is to just close down our Racine number 2 store and find a new place to put it. So we have come up with Green Bay, Kenosha, and Madison as three viable options, with Green Bay, Kenosha having about 100,000 people each for a location. But then Madison has 230,000 people, and there is no store there yet, which means that we could really enter that market heavily and increase our presence there, which will hopefully increase our profits and get us to doing more revenue and get this store catching up with the rest. Implementation. Although you may be thinking that building a new store will be very costly and it really won't be beneficial to us, we have found a way that we can implement this solution in a very cost effective way that will also save us a lot of time. Rather than building a whole entire new building, we've decided that leasing a pre existing store location will avoid all that new construction cost and we will be able to quickly get adjusted. With the sales so low in the current location, even a 20% increase in sales will be beneficial to our company, and we are entering a whole new, well populated area with more customer reach. So wasting time here is going to be our biggest enemy as we want to make sure that we can get that store up and running as soon as possible and start seeing those results as soon as possible.
The outcome of implementing the changes in the slide above, when specifically talking about relocating the lowest revenue store to a more isolated location, will result in less competition amongst the same stores because they won't be so close to each other in the same area. This will directly affect the sales because there will be more in-store traffic since there is a new community surrounding the store. Relocating the Racine number 2 store will result in higher annual revenues for the company.
So here is our dashboard. If you look right here, it's just kind of a basic overview comparing Wisconsin region to the highest compared to the lowest. So we're pretty in the middle there, but if you look here, this shows the gross margin and gross sales comparison of the regions, and the Wisconsin region is below average on both those categories. So if you look here, this shows the sales per square foot by store name. And in the green is Racing store number 1, and the red is Racing store number 2. Racing store number 1 is actually tied for the highest sales, while Racing store number 2 is significantly lower. And we have connected this back to population. Now if I select just the Milwaukee stores, you'll see that they're all doing pretty well and they're all pretty similar, but that's because the population is so high of 600,000 compared to Racing, which only has 2 stores for 77,000 people compared to 3 stores for 600,000 people.
So in conclusion, with the whole goal of this project being to not only increase sales and profit, but to also maintain growth throughout these tough financial times, we decided to make the strategic decision to move the Racine number 2 store to a more populated area